Hello there, fellow humans. I'm Jerrel, and this is Sunground, my game development studio. Today I wanted to discuss a topic which has been on my mind, especially seeing how people react to the Suicide Squad, and they voice their thoughts on why they don't like it, and what the problems with the Suicide Squad are. And it brings something to mind because I haven't played Suicide Squad, I've seen it. I'm just going to hit the trailer here, and we'll have that playing in the background. But the topic I wanted to discuss is AAA polish does not matter. In general, I think this is a really nice game to look at. I think it's quite gorgeous, especially when you see the cutscenes. The characters animate extremely well. I think the aesthetic for the characters themselves, it's realistic, it's pleasing to the eye. Whether or not the designs, are something that people like or not is something else entirely. But just the physics of the clothing, the hair, the facial animations, that is AAA polish. It's fantastic. But the point of this video is to discuss that AAA polish does not matter. I often see people say things like, oh, you need polish, you need AAA polish, and this and that. It doesn't make a good game. AAA polish contributes to the overall experience, but it does not make a good game. And it doesn't matter how much polish you have. If you polish a turd, you're just going to smear that turd everywhere, and it's going to get all over your hands. So, don't waste your time polishing a turd. And I'm not calling this game a turd, but I'm saying that your core experience, your core gameplay, needs to be good first. It doesn't matter how much polish you have if your gameplay is not something that people will like, if the overall experience is not enjoyable, then your polish doesn't matter. You can have an excellent game, excellent experience, great gameplay, and not have AAA polish, and your experience of the gameplay will still be great. The polish is just icing on a cake, and a cake is great without icing. Now, in general, some of the umbrage that people take with Suicide Squad is with the UI design, and I would like to discuss that a little bit, because right now, this is just a trailer. They're trying to make things look, clean and nice. This looks fine to me. But again, this is a trailer. I think this is neat. This here, which is gameplay. So let's view this image. So this is out of context, right? This is out of context, and I'm sure moment to moment it makes more sense, and it will make sense to you. So it's so easy to just cherry pick stuff and say, oh man, look how messy this is. If you are in the moment, you're in context, you understand what's going on, you have a connection to the actions and the resulting UI elements, then I'm sure it's not as bad if you are the one playing this, right? It would make more sense. But just looking at it, just breaking this down, this looks way worse than whatever the trailer was showing. This is, for starters, that ammo count is even farther away from the center of the screen. It is so difficult to see what the important information is. There's these things which are already extremely small, so I don't understand what they are, and I would guess that they are a kind of cooldown meter for your abilities that you activate. And in general, when we see those, you see like a little countdown, a timer, or like a cooldown meter. That is so small, I can't even tell what's going on. Like, you can see there seems to be a cooldown meter on this. That is too small for you to parse easily. So you have to take your focus away from the action, and you have to visually parse this. This is rough. What this UI, again, this is really small. This is so small. This obviously is indicating the health, which is nice. Okay, that is shield, so I don't have to guess, right? I would assume that this little logo tells me that I'm playing as Mr. Shark, who I'm not that familiar with DC, so I'm assuming his name is Mr. Shark. But I know that. I know this is Mr. Shark, so that's useless. That's wasted right there, right? You have 3 lives, I guess, is what that means. So I'm going to assume that's the health of the enemy you're defeating. This stuff popping up, is that leaderboards, like characters' scores? So you have Mr. Shark, General Boomerang, I'm gonna guess Deadshot, and I don't know who has the triangles, so these icons are not great, but it looks like General Boomerang. He's got a little king over there on his head, so maybe he's in the lead. You can see that there seems to be some team speak there that's being described by those buttons, but that sort of map. It's there, but it doesn't seem to provide a whole lot of great information. There's this here as well, which looks like a bingo card for Batman. That's so small. Oh, you know what? I think it's probably like a waveform. I assume that's an animated waveform, and that indicates that Batman is talking, perhaps. Either that or it's a bingo card. So this, and then there's this here. L1 plus R1 is Hulk Rage, I guess. There's a line here, which maybe is a cooldown meter. And then you have indicators for your characters. I assume that's where they are. You press square to do something there. R2 to shield harvest. So there seems to be like context-sensitive stuff. That seems to make sense. But overall, all these elements are way too small. And when things are small, it's generally because someone looked at it and said, oh, we want this to look hip and streamlined. And a cheap way to make something look streamlined is to make elements smaller. But that isn't better. Streamlined is not better. It makes parsability, readability, it reduces that, and it worsens the overall experience. So that is awful. Now, something that is so important to games, I'll play the trailer again, that I see modern AAA industry does not seem to care about at this stage in our industry, is the concept, the core concept of the game. They don't really care about that. That is not one of the important factors. And again, it's something that you see for smaller independent developers. The core concept tends to be the most important thing because smaller developers generally don't have the resources to do AAA polish. They can't do these gorgeous, extremely realistic human faces with one-to-one realistic facial expressions and motion capture and lip syncing. So independent developers, smaller developers have to spend more time working on the core concept and making it good, making a good core concept. The concept of killing the Justice League is already upsetting to people. And you really need to think about your core concept. And what you are telling people is you are killing the Justice League. The characters that you like, that you admire, Batman, Superman, The Flash, you're killing them. It doesn't matter in context, like, oh no, they're clones and they're bad guys. That doesn't matter. Because moment to moment, the moment-to-moment experience and the feeling of your core product is you are killing the Justice League. Take it out of context and look at your moment-to-moment experience. Killing the Justice League is not something people want to do. And if they are clones, if they are evil, again, I haven't played it, so I don't know, then just tell people right off the bat so that the context is always obvious. Because what people are responding to is they're upset that they're killing Batman, killing the Flash. It doesn't matter what your explanation is. Don't try and do a cool reveal later on because you've already upset people. So that's pretty stupid to begin with. And lastly, the last thing I want to just quickly discuss is the fact that it's an online game and a live service game, which means the game is not necessarily designed to be fun. It's designed to be addicting, and it's meant to keep you stuck in a loop. And so we, as an industry and a culture, created the term gameplay loop. And gameplay loop is not something that existed early on in the industry. Let's go ahead and have a look at Google Trends. And you can see gameplay loop didn't exist before, right? We started seeing the term used around late 2013, early 2014. And you can see it's around the time where Fortnite and similar games took prominence and became hugely successful in the industry, and they had major influence, is that the term gameplay loop has come into regular usage. And the fact that I've seen people now retroactively describe older games with the term gameplay loop is pretty upsetting, because older games and in general non-live service games are not developed, and in the past have never been developed with the idea of a gameplay loop. The term gameplay loop describes the mechanisms which developers employ, or which a game employs, to keep people trapped in a loop so they have to keep playing the game. And the only reason you would need that is for your online live service games, where you need to keep people playing so that they can spend money on whatever loot boxes, whatever battle passes. That is why we have the term gameplay loop. And I've had someone describe, an RPG on the Super Nintendo as having a bad gameplay loop. And it was really upsetting, because those games are not designed to have a gameplay loop, they're designed to have a gameplay flow. and the gameplay flow is organic and natural. It lets the player explore the game at their own pace and their own course. And it's upsetting that these games, they're not designed to be fun. They're designed to trap you in a loop, so you keep spending your time, and eventually you feel compelled to spend significant money. So that's what I wanted to discuss today. It's upsetting that we're at this point in the industry where this is the stuff that the AAA is doing, because you can see when AAA makes great games in good faith, like Baldur's Gate 3, that's the stuff that we should be getting out of AAA industry, because they have the resources to do way more, and they're not doing that right now because they're making significantly more money with exploitative practices. So, all right, thanks for watching, and that's all I wanted to discuss regarding AAA polish. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good your game looks. If the core feeling of the game is not good, if the moment-to-moment feeling sucks, people aren't going to like it. I want to give a special thanks to the patrons that you see on screen here, both in the past and currently. Thank you guys so much. Because of you, I'm able to keep the lights on in the studio, and I'm able to acquire hardware so I can create homebrew games for you guys. So right now we are working towards Game Gear. I'm working on a couple different homebrew titles that will be launching on multiple platforms, and we are working towards obtaining a Game Gear and the flashing hardware. So I will distribute the ROMs for free for my homebrew games always, so you guys can enjoy it, but I will be working on creating physical cartridges as well. So for anyone who has a functioning Game Gear or an analog pocket and can play Game Gear games, please look forward to that. We are working towards that, and hopefully we'll be able to obtain that next month. I'll be launching some new homebrew games very soon, so please look forward to that. I'll be making videos sharing that, and on the Patreon, people will have exclusive access to early development builds of my games that are coming up right now, so please check that within the next couple days, and I'll be sharing something on Patreon soon. Thanks very much, everyone. Take care of yourselves.